So before I even start, I gotta tell you what I'm about to share. It changed everything for me. Like my entire understanding of reality, you know? I've never been the same since, and honestly, sometimes I wish I could just forget, but I can't, and I need to tell this story. It happened at the Riddle House. If you like true horror and want to hear more stories that will keep you up at night, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. I was really into urban exploring, not like breaking and entering, just finding abandoned places, historic sites, you know, places with a story. I'd take photos, sometimes make little videos for my own personal archives. It was a hobby, a way to connect with history, I guess. I was living in Florida at the time, and I kept hearing about this place, the Riddle House in West Palm Beach. Now, if you're from Florida, or you've looked into haunted places, you've probably heard of it. It's this old Victorian house, built in the early 1900s, moved once and supposedly super haunted. Lots of stories about a former owner, a guy named Carl Riddle, and even more chilling, a construction worker who supposedly hung himself in the attic. People talked about objects moving, disembodied voices, even physical altercations. Honestly, I was skeptical. I always approached these things with a healthy dose of doubt, looking for logical explanations. But the stories, they had this weight to them, a persistence. So I decided to go check it out. I managed to get permission to spend a night there with a small group of fellow paranormal enthusiasts, people I trusted, who were also into documenting things properly. We arrived just before sunset, equipment in tow. The house itself, it just felt heavy, you know? Like the air was thicker inside, buzzing with something I couldn't quite put my finger on. We set up our cameras and audio recorders, did our initial walkthrough. Nothing too crazy at first, just the usual creaks and groans of an old house settling. But then, things started. Small things, subtle. We were in the old servants' quarters on the second floor, and I distinctly remember hearing what sounded like whispering. Super faint, like someone talking just outside the door, but when I opened it, nothing. Just the empty hallway. My friend Sarah, she was with me, and she looked at me with wide eyes like, "Did you hear that?" We both shrugged it off as the wind, maybe the old pipes. A little later, we were in the attic, the infamous spot where the worker allegedly died. It was cold up there, colder than the rest of the house, even though it was a humid Florida night. And then, one of our K2 meters, you know, those EMF detectors, it just spiked, like shot into the red. No electrical wiring anywhere near it. Just energy. It was unsettling, but still, we told ourselves it could be interference, a faulty device. But then came the smells. Not like old house smell, but distinct strong odors that would just appear and then vanish. In the master bedroom, a faint, sweet floral scent, like old perfume. And then, later, in the kitchen, a really strong, acrid smell like burnt toast or something metallic and scorched. It was so potent for a few seconds, then gone. It made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. We were all starting to look at each other, less with skepticism and more with apprehension. It was like the house was exhaling these little hints, these tiny, unsettling moments, just to let us know it was aware of us. As the night wore on, the subtlety started to fade. We were in the dining room trying to do an EVP session, basically asking questions into a recorder and hoping for responses. We asked, "Is anyone here with us?" And when we played it back, there was this guttural growl on the recording. It wasn't human. It was deep, raw, and just filled with malice. My stomach dropped. I couldn't believe it. We played it several times trying to debunk it, but there was no mistaking it. Then we started experiencing something more physical. Objects. Moving. We had a small antique doll on a mantelpiece in the living room. Sarah had placed it there specifically to see if anything would happen. We were all sitting there quietly observing, and suddenly the doll toppled over. Not like slowly falling, but like it was pushed. It fell with a distinct clatter. We all jumped. That was the point where the nervous laughter stopped, and true unease set in. But the worst, the absolute worst of this stage happened when I was alone, briefly in a small antechamber off the main hall. I was setting up a static camera, and I heard it, clear as day. A man's voice, right next to my ear, whispering, "Get out." It was rough, raspy, and it sent shivers down my spine that went deeper than just cold. I whipped around, but of course there was no one there. I practically bolted out of that room, heart hammering in my chest. I told the others, and honestly their faces were pale too. We were all feeling it now. The playful curiosity had turned into genuine fear. This wasn't just an old house. It felt like something was actively there, and it didn't want us. It was well past midnight. We were all gathered in the main parlor, trying to regroup, trying to make sense of what was happening. The air was thick, heavy, almost suffocating. We were quiet, just listening, our nerves frayed. And then it started. From the hallway we heard a screaming. Not human, not exactly. It was high-pitched like a metallic shriek, but with this raw, agonizing quality to it. It sounded like pure pain, amplified. We froze. Then the temperature in the room plummeted. Suddenly it was freezing, like being plunged into an ice bath. And then the smell. Oh God, the smell. It was that acrid, metallic, burning smell again. But this time it was overwhelming, choking us. It was like something was being incinerated right there in front of us, even though we saw nothing. And then, the light fixture above us, an old chandelier, started to swing violently. Not just a gentle sway, but full on, back and forth, as if something invisible was grabbing it and shaking it with immense force. Chandeliers are heavy, you know. It was impossible. Dust, bits of plaster started raining down on us. The screaming intensified, morphing into this guttural, animalistic roar of pure rage and agony. It felt like the very air was tearing apart. And then, I felt it. A searing, unbearable heat on my arm, like someone had pressed a burning coal against my skin. I cried out, recoiling, looking down. There was nothing there, no flame, no source, but the pain was excruciating. It felt like my flesh was literally being burned. Simultaneously, Sarah screamed. Her hand flew to her face, and when she pulled it away, there was a faint, angry red mark spreading across her cheek. It was like a burn mark, appearing out of nowhere. That was it. That was the line. The house wasn't just playing tricks anymore. It was attacking us. It felt like the anger, the pain, the residual energy of whatever had happened there. It was manifesting, trying to set us on fire, trying to burn us alive. We scrambled, dropping our equipment, tripping over each other. Pure, unadulterated panic. We just ran out of that house, into the humid Florida night, not looking back, not caring about anything but getting as far away as possible. We didn't stop running until we were miles away, honestly. We ended up at a diner, shaking, trying to process what had just happened. My arm, where I felt the burn, it was red and tender for days, even though there was no visible mark. Sarah's face, too. We all had this lingering sense of being watched, of something having touched us, violated us. I never went urban exploring again after that. The thrill was gone, replaced by a deep-seated dread. My perspective on everything shifted. I used to be so logical, so grounded, but what happened in that house? It ripped that away. I sleep with the lights on sometimes, even now. Any unexplained noise, any sudden cold spot, and my heart leaps into my throat. The world feels thinner, somehow. Like there's a veil, and I accidentally peered behind it. And the smell. Sometimes, even now, when I least expect it, I'll catch a faint whiff of that acrid, metallic, burning smell. Just for a second. And every time it happens, I wonder if it's just my mind playing tricks on me, or if something from the Riddle House, if something followed me home. And that's my story, the night at the Riddle House. It was the most terrifying experience of my life, and I honestly wouldn't wish it on anyone. I hope you found it chilling. We have new episodes coming tomorrow at 7 p.m., so make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. Until next time, stay safe out there.